matter? What's wrong? She get you nervous? You've been cloistered away up in that castle too long. You don't know anything about the wonderful world of teenage girls. They're all crazy. Here, some straighten right out.
What is it?
Lemonade.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers. It's Christmas, and we're back. Have you missed us? Have you missed me? Have you missed watching films? Well, not that we haven't watched films, but...
Because we have been watching films.
Have you missed podcasting? Do you feel rejuvenated, refreshed, ready to watch 4 Christmas films? There is 4, right? Don't screw me over.
Yeah, technically is, because I'll just have to push one to, like, the actual before Christmas, like earlier, post one earlier, before the scheduled
Yay!
Thursday drops, so yeah, will be.
Perfect. So we're back. Christmas film. This one, I'm going to be like, I've given you a little... Yeah, this I see it as a Christmas film. It's not your traditional Christmas film. Is it like Die Hard? It's better. It has snow, it has trees, it has a Christmas party. It's got a good moral. Could you watch it all the way around? Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised for 2 reasons with this film, which is... hello, by the way.
Who is this stranger?
So, I'm surprised that, one, you hadn't seen this film before, because it reminded me
Sorry,
a bit...
why are you surprised by this? Don't you realise we do a podcast on films I haven't seen?
No, but I feel like this is probably something you might have seen at some point in your life. A bit like when you said you hadn't seen Monsters, Inc. like many moons ago. I'm like, what? Like, I thought something like as an animated film, so you would have seen that. So, and the second one being like, after we watch it, because I wasn't entirely sure myself, like, if I can't just put it on, going, okay, we'll watch it, just on the basis of like, okay, something for us to watch and enjoy. And by the end of it, thinking, oh, there's more Christmas stuff than I remember being in the film. And then I kind of said to you, like, well, should we do an episode around it? And you were like, yeah, happy to do that. So here we are.
And obviously, I feel like the further on we go down Christmas route, I do want more Christmassy films. But I do think this has Christmas elements to it.
Yeah.
But before we deep dive into Edward Scissorhands, that sounds wrong, you have been doing some YouTubey stuff. And apparently, when I watched yourself on YouTube, you were saying I might be involved. So it was quite surreal because this screen was telling me I was going to do something.
What's happening?
And I'm thinking, I'm sure the person called Paul that sat next to me hasn't actually told me this.
Break it to you.
Yeah, it's like a third wall kind of breakage to me. So do tell us what this is about.
So while I've had the time off doing the regular scheduled program, I wanted to kind of test the waters with, creating more video content for the YouTube channel, and because I know obviously a lot of people do that, and I think it maybe helps put a face to the voice, or whatever they're saying.
People don't need to see my face.
And have that stronger connection rather than just like a disembodied voice to listen to, and hopefully it's like a way of talking about stuff like in like quick succession rather than going to a proper deep dive as such. But then
so it's not going to be like, for example, this podcast now, you're going to record me for an hour talking.
No, I don't think it would be. It would be more like quick stuff like I did on the first video I did. So thank you for everybody who's been watching so far, and there's probably more things to come and I want to try and explore with, so we'll see how that goes. But
I'm just a bit nervous because my face is very expressive. So obviously you might hear it in my voice, but then my face is very animated, and my eyes
But
go
that might
big.
appeal to people, so you never know. But that's probably starting more big with that in the new year, but we're going to do the small little bits here and there for the remainder of the...
Does that mean we can have some more Christmas shorts in there then?
Possibly. I don't know. It's to see how things go. But
I'm just thinking, like you had a lot of Halloween last, October. So I feel like if we could do 5 Christmas films, like 4.5, then I'm down for that. I'm really, really rejuvenated. Can you tell?
Yeah, can tell.
Yeah. Give me 2 weeks and be like, why did I say we're going to do this?
So now, before we get into the swing of things, do things different and say thank you to the patrons for, supporting the show. I know we didn't end up doing a patron poll last month because I thought about it, but then I think no, it doesn't matter. We'll still be here. Don't worry about it. It's just take time, everything. So it's like, okay. So we're gonna obviously have one coming up for Christmas this month. I've
even said to Paul he can pick the one film that I slag off several times this year, if required. But we need to do a birthday. We need to do a Christmas review and sit down, I think, both of us, of how this Christmas... Because I feel like Christmas is my season, so I think I should have more of a say. You can select and I'll pick.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
the patrons,
I'm actually struggling. Like, okay, what things are good pairing to do, really? But I feel like it's probably the way I see it, based on how this episode is one that you haven't seen, and the other 2 I've already got lined up I wanted to cover. That it's going to be something we haven't seen before, so that's why it's like even more like tricky to. Yeah. Or maybe it's something that we both have seen and we do it that way. Let us know what you think.
But thank you, patrons, for sticking by us, letting us have a gap so that we can come back and actually feel
energised. And
especially I'm really energised because it's Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'd like to shout out those lovely people.
So we've got, firstly, my mum, who's not on any social media, and then the rest are. So we've got Emma and Jonesy, who are on Instagram under the handle M_Hayton and Weight Loss Jonesy.
Also got Alex and Shani, who are at Desperately Seeking Username and SDOG on Instagram.
We've also got Gren, who is on Instagram under the handle CGren_draw. And then for our podcast friends, we've got Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film.
Ben from Ben Pushpull Health, formerly Film Floggers. And Nico from the Good, the Bad and the Weird podcast. So if you would like to show your support these upcoming months and have your name read out every single episode, and of course have the option to pick what movie we watch once a month, then all you need to do is go to patreon.com/SPFilmViewers.
Only costs £1 or $1.50 to subscribe, and that's monthly, so any little appreciation of our podcast would be lovely.
And of course, we're doing this backwards, this thing, but I think it will mix it up and go, like, check out, our socials and everything like that under the handle SP_filmviewers for Instagram, Twitter, X,
TikTok,
Threads, and now we also have Blue Sky as well, which is...
What's that?
It's like the new Twitter or
You're making me feel old. I thought that's what X was or Threads was.
Threads is some... Yeah, it's all... Yeah, it's like, I think there's lots like more social media that I can't remember to post to.
How many more social medias do you need? Like, I just don't get it.
And of course the YouTube as well, which is SP Film Viewers as well. But Blue Sky is SP Film Viewers all one word. I couldn't do like an underscore for that one for some reason. So it's the only the odd one out on that. But anyway, yes, it'd be appreciated if you go follow us on there. And more so pushing the YouTube at the moment, just because I want to obviously more followers on there. It makes me want to do more content and stuff. So that's with that.
Maybe we should say if we get more viewers on there, then I'll decide to join.
Yeah.
Until it gets like 100 subscribers, then I'll come on.
Uh-huh.
Only then.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks.
Maybe we should have aimed higher.
Because
No, that sounds like I've got a stick up my ass. If I said that.
Yeah. It's so high in demand.
Yeah. Can we start now?
Yep, but first, lastly, want to say, please go check out our previous episodes, of course, especially any Christmas-related ones, over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. That'd be super awesome. And also leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, do all of that.
Now we can get on to the episode.
Okay.
Which, obviously, the fact of this is kind of the pre-ramble this time, because we're coming back and everything, doing all stuff
we're just doing
backwards.
everything backwards.
Yeah.
Which is really hard when you're so regimented to a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact is, we've been off a month as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just throwing several curveballs at me. And I'm like, I'm starting a new job again.
Mm-hmm. So, where do you want to start with this?
It's a film I've seen of a man who has scissors for hands. Why does he have scissors for hands, Paul?
Because he was created and he wasn't quite finished. It was like a go-between for some reason.
But why didn't you just give him hands in the first place?
Well, if you remember the film, he was going to, but then the creator of him died. Just
I know, but like, why don't you just, instead of giving him scissors for hands, just give him hands? Oh, I know why. There won't be a film.
Well, yeah, there is that.
I feel like for me, watching this for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reminds me a little bit of, let me say this right because you're going to yell at me, Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Tim Burton is a big fan of the Frankenstein films, because the film is of that, obviously in the 1930s, is called Frankenstein because it's the creator who's called Dr. Frankenstein, but he makes... That is one of the things that's really annoyed me. Like, who wrote Mary Shelley, who wrote the book, why she couldn't just give him a name? Why do you have to confuse everybody and go, oh, it's Frankenstein? No, it's Frankenstein's monster. Just give the monster a name. I don't know.
I said it right.
I know you did. I'm not having a go at you. I'm having a go at the fact that then everybody else is like, oh, in pop culture, that's what they refer to it as. But anyway,
I'm sorry. I used to refer to it until I met you, and then I got told
it just grinds
otherwise.
my gears. It really does. But yes, this film is very much inspired by that. You know, like a creation of this mad scientist, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And both of them are really, really friendly. Like, they're just shy. Yeah. They just realise that they're different.
They don't know, the norms of everyday life. And essentially, by the end of the film, anyway, it's also like the townspeople are against him and like, oh, you're a freak and got to chase you out of town, kind of thing, like that. Like in the original Frankenstein film.
Do you know what I've just realised?
What?
It's also a bit like the Beauty and the Beast.
Do you think?
With the townsman like hating the Beast and wanting to go after him at the end.
Yeah.
But actually, he's people are just afraid of him because he's different. He's actually got a good heart as the Beast. So I think that's kind of showing, like, just because you're different doesn't mean that you're not a good person. I think that's kind of the moral of the story. Mm-hmm. And if anything, I think Edward is a more lovable character. I think he never wants to hurt anyone. He's kind of like a bit childlike in a sense. Like, his heart is always normally in a good intent. Mm-hmm. And even if people manipulate it and twist it like they did at the back end, you know, the viewer watching it, that it's not meant that way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the sad part, is how initially they all love him and they'll take him for granted. Like, initially they're like, oh, you're amazing, you give me a haircut, you'll cut the hedge for free, you'll do this. And they see his worth and what they can take and use from him. Mm-hmm. Which, it's nice at the beginning because you think, oh, well, at least he's included, everyone's kind of embracing him. And I think it's just then certain people in the film that are jealous, or like, for example, there's the girl from Stranger Things, that she's the mum now, isn't she?
Winona Ryder's character, yeah.
Yeah. Her boyfriend is like a jock, isn't he? Yeah,
he's just stereotypical douche, and he's like, again, he's taking Edward's good nature and manipulating him that way to, thanks buddy, kind of thing, but he's only doing it to sort of impress Kim, really.
And I think he's using it in a bad way and kind of thinks, oh, well, Edward can do this, he could do that. and then framing him in certain respects.
Mhm.
It also reminds me of Yes Man a little bit, with the fact that this village in America is just, all the males go out in the cars to work, and then the females are like meant to be the housewives and tidy up and clean.
Yes Man.
Yes Man. Truman.
The Truman Show. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Truman Show.
Initially, I thought you were also going to mention, like, Don't Worry, Darling.
With Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
I
a
agree.
similar kind of thing, that idyllic kind of like, colourful box house, and then everybody goes out at the same time, and the housewives do all the the chores and everything like that. So this like idyllic little cul-de-sac essentially, and then out of shot, like, this big gothic mansion on the outskirts. Yeah, just on.
And I think that's what is quite interesting, because it makes it show that the housewives are bored. Like, they've done. Once you're cleaning, if you clean every day, there's not much to clean.
Yeah.
And then you prepare the tea, which only takes a couple of hours. Then what have you got to do? So our main lady is an Avon representative.
Yeah.
And I think she's wanting a little bit of excitement and a bit more in her life.
Yeah, her character's name's Peg, and she keep going like door to door and seeing all the other housewives. It's like, oh yeah, you came here yesterday, like nothing's changed. So it's like, oh yeah, how are you gonna sell stuff if you're just keeping in the same neighbourhood?
Well, yeah, you don't run out of makeup that quickly, or cosmetics or creams. Like, maybe once a month she might get a purchase off somebody if she's lucky. I think she's getting to a point where it's like, well, I just keep knocking on these doors, and obviously they don't need anything. Or I'm showing teenager some products, but obviously she's like, how can I pay for this? And she's like, oh. And then she sees the mansion where Edward is, and I think it's a bit like a curiosity kind of thing, isn't it? Or a desperation to make a sale.
Yeah, exactly. Lets herself in and walking around his empty house, and it's like, well, yeah, there's no one there, is there? So I was like, why are you even attempting to thinking there's going to be anybody in there to sell any products to? But
it makes you wonder how long it's been like that, like how long Edward had been there. For everyone to not really think there was anybody in the house. Like, they must have known the owner at some point and that he'd passed away.
Yeah, because thinking about where would the body have gone?
Unless Edward buried him.
Yeah.
It'd be hard with his Scissorhands, though. So this is where you get your first encounter with Peg and Edward. And I don't know, I think initially I'm thinking Peg's got a screw loose, because she's like, oh, get in my car, come on. Like, I mean, he's got several scissors on his hands. He does look a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Freddy Krueger, yeah. Well, this came out a few years after that film, so, it could have been inspired. And, oh, yeah, maybe like a more child-friendly quotation, as we'll say. Or just weird and wonderful, as Tim Burton does.
I'm sure if I took Edward Scissorhands home with me, Paul, and I introduced him and said, oh, Edward's going to be living with us now, I'm sure you'd be having a question.
Yeah, like, wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's got scissors for hands, dear, like, he could kill us in his sleep.
Yeah. They'll just, brush past him and, oops, just grazed my arm.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, like, if he could come and do my hedge trimming, like, I would be made up if I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I do enjoy it, but after having to do it 4 times a year or 5 is a bit of a chore if he can do it in like 10 seconds.
Exactly, yeah.
Why not? But I think her family is like the caring one of the block, isn't it?
Yeah, all the other ones are more gossips, especially as like, oh, I saw Peg with somebody coming out from the mansion, and then they're all like meeting like on the phone call, and then they're standing on the corner having a
little mothers meeting.
And then as soon as the husbands come back, we'll start pooling up. It's like, oh well, gotta go and make tea for him or dinner or whatever. Yeah.
The sad thing about it is, I think some form of cul-de-sacs are still like this. Like
curtain twitchers, yeah.
I hate curtain twitchers. They do my head in. It's like, you live your life, I'll live my life. Don't need to spy on me.
So you might be wondering how Sophie's letting me put this on as a Christmas episode. But would you like to tell us what that is?
Yeah. So I feel like obviously at the beginning, it's not so Christmassy. It's like kind of the lead up to Christmas. I would feel.
Yeah.
And I think this is where, like, for example, Serendipity, I think is one of those where I would class that as a Christmas film, even though it's not always based around Christmas, but it starts at Christmas and then it ends at Christmas. Like, does that
full circle.
Full circle. Yeah. And I think it's the way it ends for this one. Like, you know that everyone's kind of gone against Edward. You know that it's one of those where you've got definitely got Christmas trees, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the musical scores on this as well. Like
Danny Elfman, who normally is a good collaborator with Tim Burton's films, and he's got that unique sort of style. If you remember from, and it's not a film covered on an episode, but like Nightmare Before Christmas. Even though that's not technically Tim Burton's film. Anyway, that's another story.
But then that's like, I kind of think you could watch that Nightmare Before Christmas at Halloween or Christmas.
Yeah, or in between.
In between, it kind of works really well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think this one has, obviously, they try and host a Christmas party, but nobody comes. You've got the reason with Edward, like him doing the ice sculptures and the snow coming down. I think towards the end, it's kind of feeling more magical, more fairy-like, more Christmas-like. And I think there's like a romance to the story as well, where it's romanticizing.
Yeah, that Kim's like sees him for. She's not the only one who sees him for who he truly is, kind of thing. Like he's kind of sweet and innocent, but everybody else kind of sees him as a monster by the end, as I say. Yeah,
and I kind of wish that she would go and see him, or she would have seen him. Like she would have gone back to the mansion, and I don't know. I feel like there could have even been a romance between the two of them. And I think it's just that moral of the story, like, really, you shouldn't care what anyone thinks of you, but it's sad that Edward has to be ostracised and will be alone. And I think then you think about around Christmas time, you always think of somebody being alone at Christmas.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want anyone to be by themselves. And kind of when she's then older, reading or telling a story to her grandchild, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then it starts snowing and she's saying, oh, well, we know Edward's around always because it snows here and it shouldn't.
Never snowed here before. Maybe that's... again, I think that sort of brings sort of like comfort to the people. Like, certain places don't have seasons as such.
Yeah.
If you go to California, you wouldn't really get much snow.
I feel like you wouldn't be grateful for the sun.
You'd be like, oh, so here we go again, yeah, another
nice day. Like, I think you just take it for granted, whereas I think when you have seasons, in life you have seasons, and I think it works well to hibernate sometimes. And I think this is kind of one of those cozy films where you grow and love Edward.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'd kind of forgotten there is some, like, should we say, like, horror elements in the fact, like, when he's the youngest son of the family and he's like trying to help him up and he's like, oh no, I'm sorry, like, kind of thing, but he's like slashing him, but he's not mean anything but malicious by it, but he's just trying to be helpful. But the fact that you can't really pick him up because he's got the scissors hands and he's causing damage, like, oh, you could see that as like, oh, could potentially kill this kid here without even
but because he's such a gentle being, even when he's trying to help, other people are changing it and manipulating it to be worse than it is. And I think they're only jealous of him because he is so kind-natured. Like, they want him out of the town, but I think it's for the wrong reasons. I think obviously you've got the main gossip one of the clan who tries to sleep with him.
Yeah.
And then ever since that, she kind of got the whole street against him because she couldn't get what she wanted.
Twisting his, like, oh, he almost attacked me type.
Yeah. And then that's like giving him a bad name when that never happened. And then also, bless him, trying to break into Kim's boyfriend's house. And then the alarm going off, and I felt like he actually knew that was going to frame him and make him look like he'd burgled the house so that it would look like he was in a bad light. So he's molested somebody now, apparently, burgling somebody's house, and then he's trying to scar and cut up a little boy in front of everybody. And then you've got the kind of famous line of run, which reminds me of like, run, Forrest, run. Because Kim kind of tells Edward to just run, go, because the police are after him now. And it's sad how it ends, but I think at the same time, does it make you love Edward more? Because you feel so much more sorry for him and he shouldn't deserve that. I think I actually just questioned Kim because, like, she knew he was up there. She could have visited him and gone back to him now and again, but maybe she just didn't want to cause a stir in people thinking he was there.
Well, also the fact that she said, like, oh, because for him to be left alone, so they fought each other to death. And so, look, like, here's the thing to prove it. You know,
so she protected him.
In that sense, but then people would be questioning, why are you going up to that house then, if there's no need to...
But then after a certain while, when she got older, you'd have thought lots of people will have moved away and she could have...
Well, yeah, but...
gone up there.
But also in that regards, with a sad circumstance, and it's like, if you just live there for the rest of your life, kind of thing. But anyway, yeah.
You could think him as a bit of a Rose character from the Titanic.
Right, because she just looks old.
Well, I think she gains old, and obviously Edward's going to stay young. He's never going to age, is he?
Yeah, but they're not going to have there wasn't a sequence where she was asleep or passing away, and then like she meets her in and everyone's like,
you could see that love still for him even when she was a lot older, telling the story to her grandchild.
Yeah,
but obviously she'd had children and she'd moved on.
Yeah. I don't think there was anything ever really going to be a romantic sense of, oh right, I'm going to marry this guy and have kids.
She could have, and would they have had little scissor hands?
But here's a question with that, because of the fact that he doesn't age or anything like that, he's technically not got the normal functionalities of thing.
Who knows? He might have built that and just not got round to his hands.
Built a little ding dong. But then he obviously, like, when he's at the dinner table, he's still eating food and everything, so he must
be able to digest, and he's got organs and all of that. Kind. Just got lazy with his hands. Like, he even gave him feet, like... I feel like it's one of those things you can't think too much into it.
No.
Really can't. But, I don't know, just after the way that I watched it and the way that I felt, I did think, actually, I could class it as a Christmas film. I feel like I've justified it enough compared to Die Hard.
Yeah, I will say that, because... I say we're going into the film, and it's like, oh yeah, there's definitely more Christmas than I remembered there being. So that's why I kind of initially put it on when I did, like, okay, it's like a sort of go-between. Because I know there was some like, at the back end, it felt that way, but it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot more than a...
And always a Christmas film has a good moral.
And the moral for this one is...
Run. No, I think it's just if you're different, it doesn't mean... You
should be ostracised.
You shouldn't be any worse off, or if anything, you're probably a nicer person than somebody who's just normal, if I'm honest, because I feel like people who have challenges and who go through harder times normally are relatable to other people and more compassionate. Whereas if you've got everything on a silver plate, I don't know, you can be a bit more arsey, can't you?
You can, yeah.
And I think Edward's just a lovable, sweet character. He's like a child, but with scissors for hands.
Well, yeah. Even like I've got a white box here, and it's like the caption says, "Innocence is what he knows, beauty is what she sees." Sort of meaning to the fact of Kim.
I like that. I think that's what I've noticed. Like, I'm quite naive sometimes, even with my age. Like, I have grown a bit wiser and a bit more cynical, and I think that's just age. But why can't you see the world in a better light if you can, and be nice? Like, and I think that's what Christmas, I think, brings. You actually become a little bit nicer, you become a bit more thoughtful, you do a lot more for charity. I know you shouldn't have to just do it once a year, but at least if you're doing it once a year, it's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah, as many other Christmas films do, like you think of Scrooge, Christmas Carol kind of thing of that, like, oh, yeah. Well, even, for the fact of like, oh, he doesn't even embrace Christmas at that time of year when you're supposed to be merry and stuff like that, but then gets changed around, and that's the message of that film, to be like, be a good-natured person. And
I think that's kind of the moral of this one, isn't it? It's showing that even though Edward doesn't get rewarded, you know that somebody really does care for him. And that's, like, the other town members don't have that. It's something special that they've got. And I think that's something that I think it doesn't matter how big your family is, as long as you've got some people that love you and care for you, then you're winning in life, aren't you? Do you think it's funny when he pops the waterbed? Who has a waterbed?
Who does have a waterbed? Please let us know. But obviously, for the effect of comedic stance in this film, it's like, oh yeah, this is where this is going to go, don't we?
It made me feel sick. Like, I'm not good with motion, anyways, and that's just like, if you move and then there's water. Also, you need the toilet constantly. Like, I just don't think it's logical. I don't know how it got invented.
It'd be all right for like a little a little while, like I said, like just a bit of semi-relaxation, maybe an hour or something, but to actually be sleeping on it for, like, that's your bed that you're going to rest your head on of an evening. No, I don't think it would.
I'd need a bit of firmness. I just don't think it would be firm. Like, it's like an airbed, like that. They're nightmares, and I think it's just the equivalent of that. Like, you'd turn over, and then all the water would slosh to one side.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like a horror scene when he's in her bed and she comes in and she doesn't know that he's there, and that kind of screaming first encounter.
Yeah.
Also, I can't get Kim's voice out of my head because obviously the only thing I first saw her in is a lot older version of herself in Stranger Things. But it's like the Leo DiCaprio kind of thing where her voice is the same. Like,
well, I would say mostly women's voices don't really like change throughout the age because they don't break like a man's voice would.
But I just see her as like the mum. Like, even though she looks a hell of a lot younger, it's just where my brain goes.
But with her boyfriend Jim, it was kind of again because it's like one of those things where you go back to films you might not have seen for a while, and you might have seen some other stuff that they've been in, but not realise until you come back to it and go, oh yeah, that's so and so from another film, but like younger or older, whatever. So for him, and he's played by Anthony Michael Hall, who said to you, why does he look so familiar? And he's like, oh, he's in The Breakfast Club, and he's like the really weedy one in that. And then in this one, he's like, oh, he's proper beefed up.
Yeah, I found it hard when you said it initially to kind of see the resemblance. I got there in the end, but it looked a complete different person. Yeah. It's like we've tried to be tapping into the new film with Emma Stone in, and the lead guy in that, he's from Breaking Bad, I want to say.
Oh, Kinds of Kindness. Yeah. He was Todd in that.
And that's a bit of he looks a lot different because he's lost a lot of weight.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, is that the same person? But yeah, I think I really actually loved this film more than I thought.
I'm surprised you did. Because I didn't know, like I say, wasn't going to the base of this is going to be a Christmas film we cover, but the fact that you've seen other Tim Burton films, but whether how much of a connection to it you'd have, or whether it be like that was okay kind of element to it, but
like I think the main Tim Burton one for me would be like the Nightmare Before Christmas, but you're going to sell it to me. It's not.
No, it's not. No.
Go on then. Tell me what Tim Burton films I've seen.
Corpse Bride.
See, no, that's really confusing.
Yes, I know it is. Yes,
Tim Burton, the Nightmare Before Christmas, the style is literally like parallel.
Frankenweenie.
Oh yeah, and yet again, you'd say that's quite similar.
Yeah.
I know Big Fish has been one of your things,
hasn't
it? And it's never happening.
Yeah. Beetlejuice, and this new one which you haven't seen. Have you seen Alice in Wonderland?
I have.
That remake.
I did, yeah. Just I don't think we've seen it together though.
No,
we've seen it separate.
The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake.
What do you mean?
Where Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka.
I ain't seen that.
No, don't bother. It's rubbish.
It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So there's only a few. It's stuff that sounds like, but they're all kind of some versions of like gothic.
Yeah.
One's all more kid friendly as they sort of went along, but
it kind of works like when you're looking at it, like you've got it up on Letterboxd here, and it looks like a mood board, doesn't it? Like
I really do like it because again you can go straight to director or actor and go he's in that film, go through all that, and it's good to see like a collage of stuff to go, yep, seen that, whatever.
And also you can just kind of see that Tim Burton does definitely have his own style.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
you kind of know what most of the time you know what you're going in for with that, and to a certain degree, like the actors that he's gonna have involved.
Johnny Depp.
Or Helen Bonham Carter. Yeah, is she
the lady from Harry Potter?
Yeah, what's she called?
She screams, "I've just killed Sirius Black." Bellatrix.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, her. So,
but I think it's just her look. Is kind of like a Tim Burton, like how he would want to have it in an animation. She would be like the human form of that. I think it's her pale skin, dark features.
But yeah, I don't know if you've got any other things you want to bring up with this film, or
I think it's just the moral of just be kind. Like, just if somebody looks a bit different or isn't
treat them fairly. And
Yeah,
just don't.
until they do give you a reason not to, then, just go in with an open heart.
Don't, falsely accuse somebody of spreading rumours and stuff. I think that's what is, the hearsay of,
Yeah, just because they're different doesn't mean they're actually a bad person. If anything, they're probably nicer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know. I love the way it was filmed. I love the way it was, the musical score in it. I loved even thinking of how they did the Scissorhands and getting the hedges being cut or
even seeing the weird contraptions that are in that big mansion in the first place. A very convoluted way to make breakfast or
if only
Wallace and Gromit style type
really
of
was
way or something like that. And all this kind of stuff, and it's essentially quintessentially Tim Burton, just to make some cookies or whatever. Yeah.
If only you just pressed a button and it did it all for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's just whimsical. It does feel magical somehow. At the end when you see the snow and you know that that's Edward, and he's still doing his sculptures and probably hedges and biding his time up there by himself. And it's just it's sad, but at the same time this is a story that's going to get passed down from generation to generation. Yeah.
There's some warmth to that knowing that there's somebody who's sort of bringing that kind of what most people would say snow is magical.
It is.
When you're not having to drive out.
When you don't have to drive in it, snow is beautiful and you've got enough food in the fridge, then there is something about... it's like off the Gilmore Girls, Lorelai loves snow and she always goes, I can smell snow. I don't know how you can smell snow, but it's that line and she gets so excited when it is chilly and cold. And I think you just get more grateful. You've got a home, I'm sheltered, I'm safe, and you realise actually the simpler things in life are there. Yeah, definitely a Christmas film. Come at me and try and tell me it's not. And then if you tell me Die Hard is...
You'll have words.
Yeah.
Or Sophie will have words.
I will definitely have words. Especially if they say this one isn't and then they say Die Hard is, I'll be like, you joking?
So what would you rate this film then? In reflection, you've had a bit of time as well to think on it as well. Yeah.
First of all, I'll watch it again. But also, I'd watch it in the summer, I'd watch it in the winter. It's one of those where, yes, it's a Christmas film, but you could get away with it. Just like Serendipity.
And some people would even say, It's a Wonderful Life technically could really be...
Oh, no. That's 100% a Christmas film. 100%. Oh, that just gets me. But then, yet again, it has an amazing moral. I say this to people and they go, what? You need to die to realise that you're valued. And I'm like, oh, just being cynical there. That's not the...
Yeah, it's more the perspective of, be grateful for what impact you might have. You don't really... Anyway, yeah.
How many people's lives you touch. And I think Edward's done that to certain people. He touched their lives, and I think that's why it's special. I think it could be really up there for me, and that's really surprising. And it could be one of those where it is a comfort watch. And I think it's one of those where you could compare it to, we made me watch The Little Shop of Horrors, and you made me watch was it the editors, the alternative ending?
Oh, sorry, right, yes, the director's cut, where it was all it was all everything went wrong in the end. It was they took over the I feel like this is kind of like that ending with Edward Scissorhands, because he doesn't get his happy ending. No one does. Certainly not the boyfriend who ended up dead, and then nobody even questions where's he gone?
Well,
his parents aren't even there to be like, oh.
And I think, but it works, which is weird for me because normally I would crave a happy ending, but actually, I think I romanticise it that Kim's still speaking of him.
He's like a legend or something like that. Yeah. Stories live on through that. Yeah.
And weirdly, my old Sophie would have been like, "Oh well, they didn't get together. I'd have to score it down low." But actually, it gives that whimsicalness. It gives that magical feel that now he's become a fairy tale story, or so to speak.
Yeah.
So all in all, everything. It's a Christmas film. It's whimsical. It's beautiful. It's a 10.
Now, I did kind of see that you would rate it highly, but I don't know if it would actually reach the top marks for that. But
surprised?
Yeah.
In a good way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I said more the reasons of why you said like because it's classed as a Christmas film, but also isn't at the same time, and like the elements that it has, like was a bit like not typically like something you'd be like, yeah, I gotta mark it for that. But for me, I'm gonna put it at 9. I can understand what you said, maybe like a comfort film, but it's clear, as I say, it's nothing that I'm like, oh yeah, I always want to put on type of thing. But again, it kind of surprised me and by the elements, certainly more at the back end, like how things play out and like how there's a bit of darkness to the magicalness, as it were, and how certain things are that for me likes horror elements to it. There is a little bit of that come the back end, but even obviously like the sort of like fantasy elements at the beginning, like going to this like gothic place, and even though it's not like super like dark and eerie as such, but it's like the sort of like childlike wonder of it all, and everything's a big open space and everything like that, and so like like him getting to know everybody in town, and I'm like, oh, that's just how the whole story plays out in this way, that like this sort of like goes to peaks and valleys of like acceptance, hesitancy with like, oh, accept him, but then they grow to love him, but then, oh, actually no, we weren't really truly grateful for you at all type of thing, and then it's right out at the end, it's like, oh well, he was the monster, and like there's that one of the like religious woman who's like, oh yeah, I told you bring like damnation to us all type of thing, and you always get things like that, but the person who's like, I told you so. But yeah, no, but it's very much an enjoyable watch, and I'm glad that you have embraced it for this period.
Thank you. Don't push your luck now.
Yeah.
With the others.
No, I definitely think the other ones that certainly the two have definitely got lined up of fall into the category of it. So
okay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be back. I hope everyone has missed us. I hope this is a good enough episode to be
hopefully,
coming back
hopefully
after a month off.
Rusted with rambling, but I know you're kind of pretty used to that a little bit now with
the way we are.
How we can go off tangents sometimes.
You mean me?
Yeah.
But no, I've actually really missed sitting down and talking about films. It's been a big part of his lives for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little bit of a gap, but it actually helped us value it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a moral of a story too.
Yeah. Taking a moment to just step back and reflect on, I say, what you've accomplished, and then go, yeah, okay. Just needed a bit of space away, and then come back refreshed. And
yeah.
And
I think that then makes you want to do different things and tweak it and improve it. Whereas sometimes when you just churn in the churn, you can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah. Hence why I wanted to do the extra stuff on the side, because I think let's vamp it up a little bit, and
especially coming into a new year, it's always good to have a different start and a new fresh slate.
Yeah. So that'll be it for the first episode, and there's going to be some more to enjoy and look forward to coming weeks.
We're back to his normal schedule now, every Thursday.
Yep.
Dropping another Christmas episode, so keep tuned.
Yep. So with that being said, thank you very much for listening once again, and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.